everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is more books because why not? So it's 2018, we're like halfway through January, and that means that a lot of book titles are being released and we're getting release dates and things like that. So I just want to go through my short-ish list of 2018 book releases that I am looking forward to so far. The list only has about 11 books on it right now, and I may do this a couple months from now when we get like more books, the second half of the year. What else? I will say that for the books on the list, because I was planning on recording this earlier in the month, but 4 of the books on the list have already been released, but I'm still gonna tell you what they are because I'm still looking forward to them. And they might as well have not been released for me because I haven't bought them yet. So yeah, let's get started. I'm gonna go in order of earliest release date down to latest release date, and yeah. So this first book is called Halsey Street by Naima Coaster. I hope I pronounced it right. I think I did. And I actually got this book from, I am subscribed to a few feminist like publications and things like that. Every month, this particular one, I'll put a link down to it below. This particular one sends out a book list of like books you should read, and so I would say like 4 or 5 of the books on my like looking forward to list are from this list. So the first one is, like I said, Halsey Street by Naima Coaster, and I'm just gonna like read a short blurb by my laptop right here. So, a modern day story of family loss and renewal, Halsey Street captures the deeply human need to belong, not only to a place, but to one another. Penelope Grant has scrapped her failed career as an artist in Pittsburgh and moved back to Brooklyn to keep an eye on her ailing father. She's accepted that her future won't be what she's dreamed, but now, as gentrification has completely reshaped her old neighborhood, even her past is unrecognizable. Old haunts have been razed, and wealthy white strangers have replaced every familiar face in Bed-Stuy. Even her mother, Morella, has abandoned the family to reclaim her roots in the Dominican Republic. That took courage. It's also unforgettable. There's more to the description. I'm reading the description on Goodreads, by the way. There's more to the description. I didn't really have that lengthy description. I kind of had the description of the website I was looking at, and I was immediately interested because it's going to take place in Bed-Stuy, which is Brooklyn, and I'm from New York, so I was like, oh, that's cool, like I'll kind of know like what's happening. It talks about gentrification, which I know quite a bit about as well, and so that was also interesting. And then the lead girl is of color, and she's even like on like the cover of the book, so I was like, this is super cool, and it just seemed really interesting, and I was super excited. It's really, I should probably start with the release date, right? So it was released on my handy dandy book. It was released on January 1st, so it came out literally New Year's Day, and it's been out for some while, so I'm super excited to get my hands on it. The second book I'm super excited about is called When They Call You a Terrorist, a Black Lives Matter memoir. So this book is co-written by Patrice Kahn-Cullors and Asha Bandel. I hope I pronounced that correctly. This was also on that list that I read. And so the description reads, the emotional and powerful story of one of the co-founders of Black Lives Matter and how the movement was born. A poetic memoir and reflection on humanity, necessary and timely. Cullors' story asks us to remember that protest in the interest of the most vulnerable comes from love. Leaders of the Black Lives Matter movements have been called terrorists, a threat to America. But in truth, they are loving women whose life experiences have led them to seek justice for those victimized by the powerful. So I've been reading a lot of fiction. I just took winter break. As you can see, I'm back at school. I took winter break to just really dive back into fiction, and I'm gonna keep that going because that's just how I survive. It's one of the best forms of self-care for me is reading like fiction novels. This is a memoir, and it's about something that's not fiction, but I am very much interested. It's a movement that I'm passionate about, I'm interested in, and it's also written by Black women, which is awesome and amazing. And I think a lot of times with anything, but a lot of times with just race-related things, we tend to sway towards writings of older people or people who are dead, which is great, and they have like a lot to say and it's very valuable, but I think we also have to keep that momentum going and like invest and read the works of people who are like in the movement now and living now and like are part of the world now, and just having like that balance. I'm super excited for that book, and that came out on January 16th. So yeah, there's also another January 16th release, I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong. Yeah, so there's actually 2 January 16th releases. The other one, or 2 other ones. The other one is called So You Want to Talk About Race by, oh my god, no, I don't want to butcher her name, but I know I'm going to. By Ijima Olu. If you don't pronounce her name, you can just like put the pronunciation in the comments, because I would love to, like, if I'm recommending this book, to know how to pronounce her name. So yeah, the description reads, a current, constructive, and actionable exploration of today's racial landscape, offering straightforward clarity that readers of all races need to contribute to the dismantling of the racial divide. That is a mouthful. That is a mouthful. So it offers a contemporary, accessible take on the racial landscape in America, addressing head-on issues such as privilege, police brutality, intersectionality, microaggressions, the Black Lives Matter movement, and the N-word. Perfectly positioned to bridge the gap between people of color and white Americans struggling with race complexities. She answers the questions readers don't dare ask and explains the concepts that continue to elude everyday Americans. That description was also a mouthful. I don't even need to say like why I'm super excited about this book. Like what? Any chance? Okay, I'm Black, yes. I'm also a Black woman, so yes. But I'm also, I know that I don't know everything. And I know that I know some things, but there's always a chance to just like deepen your knowledge of things and deepen just like collecting resources as well, getting different perspectives, finding out different ways to explain things to people. And so I'm super excited about this book because, no, it's not a memoir, but I do think it'll have a lot of like value. And I just want to buy all these books right now. I bought a bunch of books from Barnes & Noble yesterday because they were having a sale. And I will be doing a January book haul, and that'll come out in February. And I promise I'm actually going to do it. It's on my list. So the next book that comes out January 16th, so you want to talk about race. The next book that comes out January 16th is called Love, Hate, and Other Filters by Samira Ahmed. A searing #Own Voices coming of age debut in which an Indian American Muslim teen confronts Islamophobia and a reality she can neither explain nor escape. Perfect for fans of Angie Thomas, me, Jacqueline Woodson, also me, and Adam Silvera, who I've never heard of, but I am going to, as I speak, write that name down because if they just lumped him with 2 amazing writers, then obviously I should be reading him. And if you don't know, Angie Thomas wrote The Hate U Give, which I did a review on. I will link that below and also put that someplace up here, and I loved it. And Jacqueline Woodson wrote Brown Girl Dreaming, which I also, it's a book of poetry, which I also thoroughly enjoyed. So yeah, Love, Hate, and Other Filters. American-born 17-year-old Maya Aziz is torn between worlds. There's a proper one her parents expect for their good Indian daughter, attending a college close to their suburban Chicago home, and being paired off with an older Muslim boy her mom deems suitable. And then there's the world of her dreams, going to film school and living in New York City, and maybe, just maybe, pursuing a boy she's known from afar since grade school, a boy who's finally falling into her orbit at school. I was just really intrigued by the description. It seemed, is it? I'm pretty sure it's young adult. I'm pretty sure, yeah, I mean she's a teenager. Yeah, this is probably young adult, and I love young adult books. I always love when they like bring in the real world. That was one of the reasons I really thoroughly enjoyed The Hate U Give as well, is because yes, it was young adults, as in like that's who it was marketed towards specifically, that's who it was written about, but also like a really deeper meaning as well. Not that all books have to have deep meanings, they don't. But yeah, so that's kind of the reason, just in the same vein as The Hate U Give, is why I'm interested in Love, Hate, and Other Filters. And so I think that's the end of like books that are already out, and so we're gonna move into books that are being released. A lot of these have release dates that are in January. That's just how that fell. So the next one on my list is called Peach. This book comes out January 23rd. Content warning, it does deal with sexual assault, and I'll try and like skim over the more graphic parts of the description, just give you like an overview of it. So Peach is by Emma Glass. And it says, introducing a dazzling new literary voice, a wholly original novel, as groundbreaking as the works of Amir McBride and Max Porter. Something has happened to Peach. Staggering around the streets in the aftermath of an assault. The next morning, Peach tries to return to the routines of her ordinary life, going to classes, spending time with her boyfriend Green, trying to find comfort in the thought of her upcoming departure for college. And yet, as Peach struggles through the next few days, she is stalked by the memories of her unacknowledged trauma. Sleeping is hard when she is haunted by the glimpses of that stranger's gaping mouth. And there's more description. I don't know, I just like the description. I think that's going, if it's done correctly, I think it's going to be a very important piece of literature. And I'm excited to dig into it and see where it goes once I buy it. You know, yeah. Next book on my list is called Reign of the Fallen by Sarah Glenn Marsh. Reign of the Fallen comes out on January 23rd as well. Honestly, I can't even remember where I heard this book from. I don't even know. I think it was one of those times where I think I was on Goodreads and I was marking something else that I wanted to read and it popped up. I think that's what happened. I really don't know. Or I was in Barnes & Nobles and I saw it, but I don't remember seeing it in Barnes & Nobles. But yeah, and so what it's about is Odessa is one of Carthia's master necromancers, catering to the kingdom's ruling dead. Whenever a noble dies, it's Odessa's job to raise them by retrieving their souls from a dreamy and dangerous shadow world called the Deadlands. But there is a cost to being raised. The dead must remain shrouded or risk transforming into zombies, like monsters known as shades. If even a hint of flesh is exposed, the grotesque transformation will begin. And it's a series too. It says it's number 1 of the series, book 1. And so that was just super fascinating for me. Right now I'm really into young adult novels that deal with like kingdoms, ruling class, some magic in there, you know, in the spring little salt bay. Some magic, or just like, I don't know, that's so fascinating to me. All of that. Like things like Mortal Instruments. It doesn't have royalty in it, but it deals with like magic and different people and different types of like creatures living on the earth. And so this really appealed to me because it deals with like the dead, zombies, like what, you know? Next book on my list is called This Will Be My Undoing: Living at the Intersection of Black, Female, and Feminists in White America by Morgan Jenkins. For one of the fiercest critics writing today, Morgan Jenkins' highly anticipated collection of linked essays interweaves her incisive commentary on incisive commentary on pop culture, feminism, black history, misogyny, and racism, with her own experiences to confront the very real challenges of being a black woman today. Perfect for fans of Roxane Gay's Bad Feminist, Rebecca Solnit's Men Explain Things to Me, and Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. Me, also a fan. Also hope I pronounced that correctly. We should all be feminist. Do I need to explain why this book is on my list? I feel like I don't. I feel like you know why it's on my list. Come on now. And yeah, this comes out January 30th, so I'm super excited. Next on my list is a romance book. I'm going to take a little break from the social justice things and the young adult and fantasy and fiction. This is a romance book. It's called The Wedding Date by Jasmine Gilroy. It will be released on January 30th as well. So most of the books I've said are already released or going to be released in January. So the wedding date, it says a groomsman and his last-minute guests are about to discover if a fake date can go the distance in a fun and flirty debut novel. Agreeing to go to a wedding with a guy she gets stuck with in an elevator is something Alexis Monroe wouldn't normally do, but there's something about Drew Nichols that's too hard to resist. On the eve of his ex's wedding festivities, wow, trifling, Drew is minus a +1 until a power outage strands him with the perfect candidate for a fake girlfriend. So yeah, I think it'll just be fun and nice. I love romance books. Oh, I should have a video on romance books. Like my favorite romance novels. Yeah, and also it, a lot of times, like the romance novels that are like pushed and like shoved in your face usually have white leads. I'm gonna be honest. But this one, Alexa Monroe is a black woman. So I'm super excited for that as well. Also, my favorite phrase is apparently super excited, because like that's all I ever say. Next on my list is War Storm by Victoria Aveyard. If you watched my favorite reads 2017 part 1, again, I'll link it below, you'll know that the first place slot in that video was actually for the first 3 books of the Red Queen series. So we are finally, in, what month is that? In May, on May 15th, we are getting the 4th and last installment of this series. And when I tell you, I cannot wait. I cannot wait. I'm pretty sure I said this in the video in the part 1 of 2017. I like flew through that series. I bought book 1, I don't know why I bought it, like it was just there on a whim, I was like whatever. Bought it before I had finished it. I had already purchased book 2. And when I finished book 1, I went straight into book 2. I finished it in like a couple of days, maybe like 2, 3, 4 days. But I was just like, it's a thick book too, I was just like going through it. And it was intense, and I had to take a break and be like, I need a pause. And so I read like a short mystery novel, and then I went right back to the 3rd book, which I also had ordered. And I just love this series. It's well crafted. The character arc of Mare, the lead character, is incredible. One of the best and most extensive character arcs I have ever seen in a series. And I read a lot of series, but like she had the best character arc and the best character development. Like she's barely recognizable. By the time you get to like the middle of book 2, you're like, who is this? So that's why I'm super excited for this 4th installment. Like literally over the moon excited. The next book on my releases I'm looking forward to is the 2nd book and the last installment actually of the Dividing Eden series. It's called Eden Conquered. And so I actually recently finished Dividing Eden, I want to say like a little less than a week ago would be my guess. Super interesting book, love it. It's in a nutshell essentially about these twins who are part of the royal family. They're prince and princess, and the king and the crown prince are killed. This isn't a spoiler, this is literally on the flab, you know they're about to die. But they are killed, and so it leaves the kingdom without a true leader, and they have to go against each other in these trials to declare who's going to be the either king or queen of Eden, which is the place that they live. And things get shady, things get trifling, things get frustrating, and the end of the book is just like, really, that's how we're gonna end this? But in a good way. So that's why I'm super excited to see like how, what's this lady's name? Joelle Charbonnet? I hope I pronounced it right. But I'm excited to see how the author like ties this up and wraps it up. I also realized that I didn't give like a background, or like I gave background, but I didn't read the description of War Storm, and I'm not gonna read it for Eden Conquered simply because I just gave my own short synopsis and I know what the series are about. And then the last book that I'm looking forward to is actually a graphic novel. If you read My Favorite Reads 2017 Part 2, which came out on Monday or Sunday. earlier this week. You know that one of my favorite books so far in that last half of the year was Wonder Woman Rebirth Deluxe Edition Book 1. So I'm super excited for Wonder Woman the Rebirth Deluxe Edition Book 2. And so basically what happens in the first one, because this description gives me nothing on Goodreads, it's basically the same one for the first book. But yeah, so what happens in the first book is that you go back and forth between when Diana, aka Wonder Woman, was on the island, and then when she left and she first got here, to the present and how she's dealing with that, and she's like literally essentially losing her mind. Someone's messing with her. And so, oh man, I can't even like say where it leaves off because that's ruining it. But yeah, I'm super excited. Wonder Woman's my favorite superhero. I am like a hardcore Marvel fan, like in terms of Marvel movies, but in terms of like content, character, what they do, it's Wonder Woman. But yeah, let me know, what books are you looking forward to for this year? Leave them down in the comments below. I'll probably end up looking them up and adding them to my to-read list because that's what I do. Pretty sure it's an addiction. But yeah, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share, subscribe, comment. Check me out on all of my social media. Everything is linked down below, and I will see you very, very soon because I'm about to record the Q&A video. Bye. Is this book, Girls Made of Snow and Glass. It's a take on the Snow White story with her and her stepmother. It follows Lynette and Mira, Lynette being the girl, Mira being the stepmother. It's an interesting and unique take on the Snow White storyline, which I really appreciated.